What's up, internet world, and welcome back to the channel. Today I am pumped to bring you the Taycan Turbo S. Oh man, this is gonna be a really good one, guys. I am so excited to bring it to you because watch this.
1, 2, 3, go. Oh my God. Just moved my left leg. Oh my God, this is so scary. Oh my God. This is the first car I've ever driven that does 0 to 100 in the 2s. And there's a difference between the 2s and the 3s. There comes a point in life or in the car world where they should not make cars any faster than this. This should be the fastest car available because it's pushing the limits of craziness. There's just so much power in this car that propels you forward. And the cool part about Porsche is that they built this car to do this repetitively. This is not a one-trick pony where you can do it once and then wait 10 minutes. But you can do this consistently. The second gear helps that. And the fact that they have been doing this differently. They waited, but they waited to launch it correctly. Doing these launches are so nerve-wracking, it's actually scary. I've never been scared, because it's so hard to know what to expect, you know? All right. Okay, on 3. Brakes down, gas down, launch control activated, let go of the brake. Oh my God. This is just the craziest thing. I just want to take everybody for a ride and be like, man, you gotta check this car out. It's crazy.
I want to give a big shout out to Porsche of London for letting us borrow this Taycan for a review. You see, it really helps us when we get the support of the local community to help our channel out. So thank you very much, Porsche of London. Well, the Porsche Taycan S competes with, well, you know, the other guy, Tesla. The Tesla Model S competes directly against this vehicle. Except for me, I don't really compete against that. I competed against its own brand. And that is the Porsche 911 Turbo S.
Is a monster.
It's the most purest car you can buy if you're looking for an all-out sports car. So Porsche has 90 years of driving dynamic experience, and they merge that all together, and this is their first go at electric. But Mike, how can this be a Turbo S when there's no engine in it? How can you call it a turbo? Well, let me tell you something. Back in 2015, Porsche launched the 911 in a turbo format. So they put turbo engines in all 911s in 2015. And that really pulled away the turbo because they were all turbo. So what Porsche did was, like anything else, they made their turbo their top staple. So their most expensive car, their best car, and obviously their fastest car. Now Germans are obviously pretty stubborn, so they didn't want to try something new, so they went with something that works, and that is the turbo brand. And that's exactly what they did here. So you can get the Taycan in a 4S. Did I say Taycan? I meant Taycan. Taycan in a 4S, a turbo, and a Turbo S variant. So there are 3 variants, as I mentioned, the 4S, the Turbo, and the Turbo S. The 4S starts at just over 100. That makes 522 horsepower and does 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. If you want something a little bit faster, you can buy yourself the Turbo. That makes 670 horsepower, and that starts at 151K, and that does 0 to 100 in 3 seconds. And then there's this monstrosity, which I'm about to break my neck driving, and that makes up to 750 horsepower on launch control. Starts at 185K and does 0 to 100 or 60 miles an hour in 2.6 seconds. Oh my God, this is crazy. But Mike, it is so expensive. It is almost $200,000. Yeah, I get it. Now, if you check back a couple videos ago, I reviewed the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT63S 4MATIC Plus, and that costs almost the same amount of money. Except the difference is electric is sort of a one-time buy. You buy an electric car and that's it. Your maintenance is peanuts. Your your what mileage? Yeah, it's peanuts. So it is a one-time buy. Yes, no sound, but we'll get into that. Think about it. This thing does 0 to 60 in 2-point-something seconds. That's hypercar stuff. Hypercar. Google hypercar and you will see a base price of like $500,000. This is $200,000. So there's two really unique key features about this Taycan. Now bear with me. The first one is regen braking. What regen braking is sort of called one-pedal driving, which means when you let go of the gas, the car will automatically slow down. And that is because when it's slowing down, it's regenerating power back into the battery, but not braking, it's just regenerating backwards. That is the first thing. This car does not do that. What this car does is it actually lets you coast, because when you're in the Autobahn and you're flying, they don't want you to take the foot off the pedal and then automatically brake. They want you to coast. So here's where the interesting part comes up, is once you hit the brakes, it actually doesn't brake. It uses regen at the highest capacity, and then when you hit the brakes harder, then it uses the brakes, as opposed to most cars or most EV cars actually do the opposite. As soon as you let go of the throttle, what happens is the regen kicks in as braking, and then if you need more brakes, you hit the brakes. You see, that's a little bit of a different approach. That is the first thing. The second thing, it's got continuous magnetic motors on the front and the back, one each. In the front, it's got a single drive, but in the back, it's really unique. It's got 2 gears, and that is a difference maker. In terms of acceleration, this thing blows a lot out of the water, but it's also really designed for high speed. You see, electric cars have an issue with top speed, and if you look at most electric cars, they are fast from 0 to their maximum speed, but at maximum speed, they run out of juice. So if we start at the front of the car here, we have a 4-point matrix design headlight, and what that's designed to do is it's supposed to appear that it's floating in the air. It also has vertical side curtains, and what that's supposed to do is air flows in, it goes over the wheel, down and out, just like, you guessed it, a curtain. The Turbo S's have full carbon fiber here, and I really like it because it's a lot of carbon fiber. It's wide, it's clean, and it cuts the bumper pretty hard. There's something about the front of this car that makes me feel like it's sort of slant nose-ish. It comes down pretty hard. There's no flat and down. It's just a slide, sort of. What do you guys think about the front of this car? Let me know in the comments below. This is the key to the Taycan Turbo S. And this is where the engine is. But before I open it up and show you guys the motor, I want to let you know that this car is predominantly aluminum. This is aluminum, this is aluminum, the hood, not in this specific case, is aluminum. The fender flares in the back are aluminum, and the front is aluminum, and this car is pretty much all aluminum. So let's take a look underneath here and see this beautiful motor. And by motor, I mean this thingamajiggy that you can use to charge your car, because you have 2 ports, which you have on the left and the right. So AC is for home use, and that is where you plug this contraption in. You can also get a fancier case for this contraption, as you see at the Porsche dealer here. That is Porsche of London, right here in London, Ontario. And DC charging, you can charge it up to 275 kilowatts when you find one Electrify USA and Electrify Canada. But for most of us that are stuck with a 50 kilowatt charger, this will take 1.5 hours to charge from 5 to 80. You see, this car will not allow you to use 100% of its battery. You can use about 85 to 90% of its battery, because they hold it back so they get battery life. You see, battery degradation is a problem in the EV world, so what they do is they try to hold back some battery so your battery will last longer. So officially speaking, this Taycan Turbo S gives you 192 miles or 302 kilometers in terms of range. But they realized that's probably not enough, because they wanted to be conservative, because in the EV world, you have to overboast. So this actually has been tested by an independent company. Right here is where Porsche has put the results, and this does, now it does 278 miles or 440 kilometers of range, which is a lot better, because when people hear that, they think, I can make it from where I live to the next city over. But let me ask you this. The people that are going to buy these Taycans, are they really going to be highway cruisers and sit on the highway and burn up range? I don't think so. Now, if you own an EV vehicle or thinking about buying one, you must be curious, but I want more range. Well, I'll tell you what, the way this technology works is that you don't have to actually go to the dealership to get more range. What they do is with software is they put it over the air, they upload it or download it into the car, and that way they get more range. Because if you ask any Tesla owner today that bought one 5 years ago, they actually have more range now than they did when they bought the car. And that is the coolest part, is that you can buy a car today that makes X amount of horsepower, and you can get more horsepower in about 2 years. I thought as things get older, they get worse. I guess not in the EV world. So if we bring it to the side of the car now, on the passenger side, you've got AC and DC charging, and that is opened by sliding your finger underneath there, and it opens right up. So this Porsche Taycan Turbo S has 800 volt architecture, and the other company has 400 volt architecture. So that just essentially means that it's pre-wired for the future. Porsche claims that it has faster charging and all the rest of it. However, we're still early in that, so I can't really test it to prove that's the specific case. And behind these winter rims and tires that Porsche has on this specific one are banana brakes that are 10 piston huge, because this car actually comes with Mission E wheels that I love. I think they're sweet. They came in the concept car and I love it. Let me know what you guys think, because I personally think they are the way to go. So if we start at the side of the car here, it's got a very seamless, round, no edges look. They even hide the door panels. Door handles, my bad. Come on, door handles. There we go. And you just pull it. It is electric. There's nothing mechanical about it. It's all electric. They also have this full glass panel that you can either get it in glass or you can get it as sort of a coasted panel that seams together, that has an indentation in the roof. Pretty cool design. Me, preferably, I like the sunroof, so it's wide and open. In the back seats, you can really feel it. The rear axles. The rear axles do turn left and right based on the speed you're going. They actually turn the same direction when you're going slow and the opposite direction when you're going fast, or maybe the other way around. It also does have air suspension as well as having torque vectoring. So when you're going around a corner, the inside does brake for you so you can kind of pivot. Another piece I do like is this rear trunk lid. This rear trunk lid is the meat and potatoes, and I'll show you why. This Porsche logo has electric circuits running right through it, and that's a glass finish. This piece to me is art. Beautiful. This rear spoiler has 3 stages. It goes up at 56 miles, 99, and I think 126 miles an hour, where it raises up basically faster than any speed that I can drive this legally. I like the electric elements they've actually put in this car. Besides the overall design, I really like these little fins they have here, sort of a cooling chamber for electric cars or computers. They've actually pulled in carbon fiber from the front all the way to the back, and it's very clean, and it gives it sort of a cool look, I think. As well in the back here, it's all black, so all the badging is black on this car. All right, buyers, this is for you. You can actually fit your golf clubs in here. Oh. Thought it was a fastback. That's disappointing. All right. Well, here we are in the trunk area of the Taycan Turbo S. And it does have a really wide entry point on both sides here, so you can definitely fit golf clubs in here. So golfers, you're good. In terms of depth, it does have a 60-40 split, so the seats fold down, pretty straightforward stuff. I thought it was a hatchback, liftback, fastback, but I might understand why it's not. All right, so I'm in the back of this Taycan Turbo S, and pretty good. I mean, so the windows don't have a full frame. They are seamless and they are frameless, sort of a coupe look, which sort of tricked me because I did think it was a fastback, but I kind of get it, and I'll tell you why, and that is sound dampening. You see, bass takes 6 feet to actually reverberate, so you'll hear that noise, if you drive a coupe, a 4-door coupe, that is. There's a really funny thing with this speaker in the back. It's being covered by the panel. Strange. Check it out. This is so solid. Every visual touch feel that is just solid and gonna last forever. You know, that gonna last forever feeling when you touch a piece of fabric and you know it's just gonna last forever. Even the back of these seats are all stitched. When I'm sitting in this seat sits like I'm sitting in the front of these seats. It's got Turbo S logos everywhere. Cup holders, obviously after the fact, like typical German. In the back here, this is a 4-seater configuration, and you can choose your temperature by haptic touch and a little clicky, clicky, clicky. Very easy to use. Kids, go ahead and kick it because, you know, that'll happen. As I'm sitting in the back of this Taycan S, I'm waiting for my ride to start because that's how I feel sitting in the back of this. I know something exciting is going to happen. These seats are very firm. This interior is very tidy. Everything about this makes me feel that I'm in for a ride of my life. Another interesting piece is the electronic door handles. This isn't new in the German world, but it's actually pretty cool because it's designed to be like a lazy man's door opening. You don't have to pull it. There's nothing mechanical. It's simply just a tap. And if you go past the tap, then it's mechanical. So watch this. 2 fingers, touch it, it opens. And then the sill illuminates to let me know that I'm in a Taycan. So I'm sitting inside the Taycan Turbo S. And at first glance, everything about it is exactly how I pictured it to be. Thick, solid door panels. It is like brick. This is so solid and far. There's nothing movable or cheap about it. I can close my eyes, I can take my finger and I can push on the headliner and I know that is nice, soft, but strong fabric. There's nothing crunchy about it. It's just solid, you know, and that good quality feel. Like, look at the steering wheel. Now I'm looking at the display and it's a 17-inch curved display designed for me. Now this steering wheel does get in the way of most of the instrumentation. In the center I can see, but on the left and right I can't. So I probably have to shift my head to see the time and the temperature outside. But these are touch on the outside, the center is not touch, and touch all the way through. So my thoughts are, why not put one big screen? And the first thing that came to me is that drivers want something they're used to. So to transition drivers from modern, normal 911s to something like this of electric, they have to not give you one big screen where you think, holy moly, man, I'm in something way more advanced than I want to deal with. They want it to feel natural. And then the only way to do that is by having individual screens. So this is touchscreen, this is your HVAC controls, this right here is for your maps and basically your setups and that kind of stuff. And they also have a passenger display, 11-inch passenger display that sits right here. And I think if you watch one of our other videos, they have that also in the 812 Superfast that costs twice this car does. So if you add it all up, you've got a 17-inch display, you have an 8.5, an 11, and an 11. That is a lot of square footage, but the clarity is unreal. You have to see this with your own eyes. The colors are so deep. In terms of usability, this is pretty straightforward. I've got navigation, media, phone settings, charging, all the rest of it. No big deal. Except there's a few interesting pieces. One is Apple Music. You can actually have Apple Music in the car. You don't need to have Apple CarPlay that draws the music. You can actually set up your account for Apple Music in the car, that it integrates seamlessly with everything else. That is cool. I really like it. The vents actually don't have specific hand movements on the actual vent itself. You actually have to go through the system, use your little finger, and you can choose where you want the air to go. You see, I get to pick where the air points. But I do have a question for you. So all my viewers that are in Europe, you let me know cup holders. Are these cup holders just for us in North America, or are they also where you live? Because when I see this, I think retrofitted after the fact. Not this one, but definitely the one in the middle. Because look at this armrest. It is not easy to use. I don't have shoulder problems, but I will soon enough when I try to put my hand to get stuff out of it. This Taycan Turbo S has 5 driving modes. The first one is range, and that maxes you out at a speed of 70 miles an hour or 110 kilometers up here in Canada. The next one is normal, sport, and of course Sport Plus. When you put it in Sport Plus, fancy happens, the car lowers and you can launch this thing. And then of course individual, where you can pick and choose what dynamic features you like about your drive. So when I want to get deeper into the menus of this Taycan, I hit the drive button and I hit the vehicle and I have drive mode, the chassis height, the recuperation, which is basically when I lift off the throttle, and your electric sport sound, which you get in Sport Plus. Now this sound is unique because it actually is designed specifically for this Taycan. But there is a really interesting piece here. You see, other brands, when I put it in drive or reverse, actually has a sound indicating to pedestrians watch out. If they cannot see me, they can hear me. This one doesn't seem to have it, and I don't know why. Now, another interesting part is when I want to get into the car and go for a drive, I don't have to specifically press the start button, which is on the left, which is what Porsches always have. If you want to start Porsches, the key is on the left. So they put a start button here, but if you want to drive it, you jump inside, you hit the brakes, and you push this lever down into drive, really weird lever by the way, into drive, and off you go. You do not need to press a button. So they have that button, you know, because you're used to it, I guess. Activate Batman mode.
I'm sorry, I cannot help you with that.
Don't worry, I can do it. Oh my god. And you could hear that second gear is so awesome. Hello, Porsche. I am cold and nervous.
It will be warmer soon.
Thank you. Porsche, I'm lost. Help me find some water. I'm thirsty.
I can assist you with many tasks, and I understand most of what you say. Just speak naturally. For example, you can simply tell me where you want to go. Say, for example, drive me to Redwood City, 3636.
She even knows when I'm making fun of her. That is the best part. I'm cold. And nervous.
It will be cooler soon.
No, I need heat. I'm cold and grumpy.
It will be warmer soon.
All right, so let's hear the second gear activate. It's funny, it's so subtle that only sometimes you can hear it. It's not consistent, but you can feel it, that is for sure. Well, the cool part about this car is that nobody gives you the finger because you're not revving past them like a madman. So it's crazy because I took 30 minutes out of my day today to go stop for a neck pillow because I knew that this car gives me whiplash, and guess what? I forgot it. But thank God this thing has adjustable headrests. Yes, this is my whiplash stopper. I'm gonna drive it to make sure that my neck is safe because I've heard and watched many whiplashes. It's so funny, when I get to a stop sign, I'm expecting the engine to kick back on like start and stop like most vehicles, but this doesn't do it because foot to the ground. You can hear that second gear shift, like it's like I'm in like a 1995 Civic going from first to second, and then the back goes like you're power shifting. This collision warning system is so good. I have Ian in front of me and I'm tailing him and we're doing these shots, and this thing gets so close and it hits the brakes for me ever so lightly. This camera system is so good that the rear camera actually pivots left and right to show me my left and my right. It doesn't give me just a full overview. It's just magical. Now let's use that four-wheel steering and see how the turning radius is, and it is amazing. 2 lanes and I can still stay in both. 2 lanes and I can still stay in the grid. Man, this is just magical. Now, in the 2022 version, I assume we'll have 3 gears or 4 gears or 5 gears like I mentioned, and it'll be like our BMX bikes growing up. Because think about it, when you have this sound and it goes, that mimics, you know, today. Not tomorrow. This is nuts, man. This is nuts. And it's nuts with it being cold outside. They say this needs the temperatures to be around 70 to 80 degrees to actually get all of the meat and potatoes. But I'm getting a lot of meat, and there's way too much potato right here. It's just crazy this thing does 0 to 100 in 2.7 seconds, the quarter mile in 10.5 seconds. It weighs 5,000 pounds. I'm in normal mode right now. I'm not in Sport Plus, which is where the noise kicks in, which I'll show you guys in a second. I'm just driving it normally. It's totally underrated. I'm not getting a ton of stares like I would be if I was driving something really aggressive. Now this obviously is in a darker color, so you probably don't notice it as much, but it drives smooth.
daily driver type smooth, kids type smooth. It's just very quiet. Now most cars when they're coasting are pretty silent. It's just this one is really pronounced when you stop or you're accelerating. There's sort of a Batman type sound with it. So one feature that I really do notice while I'm driving it is the regen feature. Now it does coast. I really like the fact that I don't have to be annoyed by when I let go of the gas that I'm braking. I just like the fact that I'm literally just taking my foot off the brake and it's coasting. There is no braking. Something interesting just happened. School's out and all the teenage kids are out and I'm getting thumbs up and look at that car. That is the future. It's so much so in the future that this doesn't have USB ports. It's got USB-C ports, and that doesn't help when everything I have is USB. I am gonna go have to find USB-C because it's got two USB-Cs in this console. That's useless, and it's got two USBs in the back. So USB-Cs in the back. So I'm gonna use the USB-Cs in the back. You know, I gotta go buy the USB stuff, and then I can put it in the back because everything I have is USBs. So one of the funny questions I have is, does this have a break-in period? Now, most gas cars have a 1,000-kilometer break-in period. Nobody really remembers that. They just get in it and drive it, you know, aggressively. But cars do have a break-in period. Now, does this electric car have a break-in period? And the answer is no. Besides the tires and the brakes, there's no break-in period. You just get in it and you drive it. So I'm going down a hill here and I'm actually going faster. Now, I know that sounds like, yeah, so what? But the fact that it just rolls forward at a traffic light when I take my foot off the brake, it rolls down a hill. When I brake, I get solid braking because I have the brakes, plus I have the regen power, or more like I have the regen power first and then I got the brakes. But that concept and that thought process is awesome. The fact I can put kids in the back, they'd like the sunshine if they want it. This is obviously UV protected glass. It's got different layers in it. It's all black and modern here. The wife will love it. Now, I just gotta go rob the bank and get some money.
All right, guys, I hope you liked this review on this Taycan Turbo S. And as always, please consider subscribing and smashing that like button. We'll see you next Friday.